This boot lid's got hail damage on this half, and it's quite severe. 1, 2, there's heaps of it. But there's no rust in this boot lid, so this is why I bought it. It was expensive, come from that dude up at so Riddles Creek, what's his name? Gold Spears, something like that. It's like real expensive, and I didn't notice the dents in it because it was a real bright, glary day. That's awesome. Alright, I'll bolt her up now. That scumbag. It's all dented in here, you just see, and there's bloody movement. There's movement in there somewhere. So it's a rust-free boot, but it's got issues. There's movement. This is all dented in, stoved in. It's going to have to come off. Okay, so I've just bolted this boot lid on, and she fits pretty bloody good. Like, I still haven't put the hinge on, the clip on at the bottom, but that's sitting pretty much where we want it to. It's a little bit high at the back here because I can't lock it down. I'm just holding it in my left hand, but that fits brilliantly. You know, gap up there is good. You know, I might have to adjust my bog repairs on the C-pillar a little bit, but it fits bloody brilliantly. There's not one dent in this boot lid. Underneath where the hinges are, that's all a little bit bent there. You know, that would be from the factory, I'd say, to get these things gapped. But there's no damage around there or on the other side. The only downside with this boot lid is it's got some nasty cancer in it all the way along there. So both the inner and the outer are rotten away there. It's nasty, and it's pretty much all the way along down to the bottom driver's side corner. On the outside, that whole top corner is rotten out, and under here, you know, there's nasty rust all the way under there. And but aside from that, this boot lid is 100% rigid edge. It's the original boot lid off the car, and it fits like a glove. This one here is the one that I bought from old, what was it called? Nugget Gold Spears. He texted me, he said, Jason, I've got this amazing boot lid, totally in perfect condition. Well, I don't know if you can see any of this, but there, where else? There. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 8 dents, but these are bent, deformed, cracked. Okay, so when you bolt this boot lid up, you've got movement in it. It's like fatigue in those sections there, and they're severely dented in. I mean, it's a good spare boot lid. I mean, you can rework all of this stuff, but my God, it doesn't fit to start with. It's 10 mil too low at the front. At that section in at the back window, it doesn't fit. Whereas this one fits like a glove. We've got a little bit of surface rust in here, in these sections here, which I have to clean off. But guys, I have to friggin' well repair this. Didn't want to, that's why I bought the other boot lid. 600 bucks that friggin' boot lid cost, and I can't even use it. It doesn't fit. So I am buggered if I know how to fix this. This is a tricky one. This is harder than the plenum. God, what a bugger. Boot lid fits, sorry, the boot rubber fits pretty well. Fits brilliantly around these bottom corners, where I didn't repair that one because I didn't need to. This one here fits brilliantly. This one here fits really, really well as well, but this bottom corner here on the driver's side, it wants to pop out. So obviously I've made the whole volume of the channel too small, and it just can't hold all of that rubber in there. Just can't hold it. So I might have to trim some of the rubber off and sort of glue her in, but we'll get it looking nice. But yeah, it sits well. It's quite cool. And doing all of those lovely rust repairs in there, in the back of the C-pillar near the rear windscreen. I'm going to POR 15 these, do the real big one on them, the proper metal prep, and really get into them so they never rust again. Good thing having the car upside down, you can get all the way up the top of that C-pillar. This stuff stinks. Beautiful. Can't stress how important it is to actually dry that completely. Even though you get a little bit of surface rust occurring, it's all, that whole surface now is etched and ready to go. But yeah, if you trap any moisture in there now, because I've actually filled the other side, there's going to be no chance for any liquid to escape, and it'll just sit there and rust away. So it's bone dry now. Given it a good couple of blasts with the hot air gun, and you know, around about 15 or 20 minutes to just sort of bake out. So there's absolutely no liquid in there at all, because you put the metal prep on, then you've got to wash it off with water. So we're good to go now. Oh yeah. Inside here it was really rough. There's a lot of fiberglass left from the dude that did that repair along the bottom. It was a mess in there. There was old filler, old seam sealer. My repair itself, my welding repairs, spot welds and whatnot. Oh, there's one there that I've missed. This tool is just amazing. You can get right in everywhere where you need to. It's surprisingly robust. I always thought these things were just a toy, really. These belts would just chew out in no time flat, but boy, they last and they're tough. And I mean, it's a bit like a Dremel. You know, the fittings and things for a Dremel, they don't last forever. They're only little, but jeepers, this does such a good job. $140 from Total Tools. It was on special. Well, actually it was $130, but I got the whole lot for $140. Got 4 of those fittings, got heaps and heaps of belts, extra belts and whatnot. So yeah, what a tool. This is what this area here was not keeping me awake at night, but it was a big concern. And now this is going to make it beautiful. These hole in the guards are going to look fantastic, so I'm pretty happy. There's a spot weld there that I missed. See, it just allows you to shave everything off nice and flat. Of course, a little bit bumpy, but you know, a little bit of high fill over there, that'll hide it all. Amazing, what a job. And that's the little things that make all the difference. That little notch that I've cut out there, that was a little corroded. The edge was not straight, it was sort of rusted away a little bit. There's a fair bit of rust underneath, like seams. It was only seam seal and it was rust from top. I've sort of cleaned it down a little bit there. I've got a rust hole there and there. So I'm just going to chase those really and weld that little square in and clean up the balance of this weld, this repair here. And yeah, God. So this is inside the boot. She's a mongrel of a job in here. It's horrible. It's really, there's no incentive to get into the shed when you're working on this sort of rubbish. So I just got to clean up around that. I'm going to POR 15 everything that's been repaired. Can't see in there, but I've gouged all that seam sealer out of there. I'm going to POR 15 in through there. I'm going to wash it down with acetone, get all the residue of that deadener off, and start from scratch. So it's going to be POR 15. I'll do a little bit of bog working around here, clean it up. You can see the remnants of repair in there, that triangle-y piece, and there's another piece in behind it. My sander is working well, but yeah, I'm going to have to put a bit of filler over those because they are noticeable. So anyways, so yeah, so we're making slow progress. Next is the rear end here, and then the floor. The floor's got a bit of cancer in there, a bit on the other side as well. A bit hard to see because of the light shining towards us. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of all this horrible seam sealer here, gouge that out, and so. Okay, so down here, as you, I'm not sure if you can see that, that's all new steel. That was all fiberglassed up and looked really terrible. It appears this car's had just a minor tap in the back on this side. This bracket here, there's a gap, you might notice, the gap between rich and poor. Yeah, the gap down there. So obviously this has been stoved in, and that bracket's been pushed down into the floor, and it's actually right on top of the chassis rail. Chassis rail's straight, but it's stoved the steel into the void of the chassis rail. The repairer has chosen just to braze it up with this bloody weld braze type oxyacetylene stuff, whatever they call that. Don't know anything about that stuff. So they've just bridged the gap between the bracket and the floor of the boot. But what it's done, it's obviously opened up a gap here, which has allowed water to creep in, and so we've got some rust holes there and there, and this is all rusted away. So I'm going to cut that floor out there, try and retain as much of that shape as I can, but if I have to end it shorter, that's okay. And just replace that, have a look at what's underneath there on the floor, fix those rust holes. Probably going to leave that. I'll drown it in POR 15. At the moment I'm cleaning out this seam sealer out of this little channel here. It does a great job. Just that little overhang on the sandpaper. These are really quite cool. They just unscrew. Quite a coarse, chunky thread. Yeah. So between that sander and that sander, you can get all the old weld from when I replaced that section of steel there. You can clean all of that up. Get all of this gunk out of here and check that and reseal that. So yeah, it's time consuming, this stuff. Doesn't make for good video. Okay, so I've pushed up the floor. I haven't touched that. So as you can see, there's a bit of a depression in the floor pan, and that horrible bloody gold bronze braze or whatever the repairers used. I'm going to leave that and just fill it with seam sealer. I'll POR 15 at first, of course. Yeah, had a little bit of a tricky job with this because it was all over the place. I bloody hit through there with the grinder and there as well. And there's a little rust pinhole there. So what I'm going to do is next time I'm doing some welding, I'll just tack them up, grind them off. But yeah, it's all new steel in there now. This has come out really well. As you can remember, those taillights were munted. But yeah, I've only done half so far. It's taken me all day. But she looks bloody good. I'm going to leave that white paint on there. I'm just going to POR 15 the bare metal. And I've given that a really good scratch back, and it's good paint. So I'm just going to prime straight over that once I hit it. I'm going to use the 2-pack epoxy primer on this. Cleaned off that channel there for the fuel tank. Yeah, really happy. Inside there, I've got to do a heap of work in there. I've still got to sand them. There's got a few runs in the POR 15. So that's that side. This side still to be done. It's pretty messy, but mind you, the other side looked just like this as well. Yeah, she's messy in there, especially down there. But it will all come up looking like that. Excellent. take you on a bit of a tour. Hi guys, well she's wet, cold, she's real cold, midwinter, and don't know if you can see that. It's Saturday, I've got today and tomorrow in the shed. Want to get this boot into 2-pack epoxy by tomorrow night, and then do all the seam sealing and do a little bit of bog work in there, and then give it another coat and call that finished. I've had to calculate is around about 300 more hours, around about 35-40 days of body work. That's everything, boot lids, and that's a major rust repair on the boot lids. Like I said, I think I might have mentioned it on my Facebook page that as soon as this job at the Navy base finishes, I'm going to take a month off and yeah, smash this body, get it done, and then we can get ready for paint. So it's going to be pretty boring for you guys. It's just body work. If you're not into that, then it's all over. Anyway, enjoy it. I'll leave you to it. Okay, so this gun, from the top of the pot to the bottom of the filter and the fitting is 450mm. That gun is just too big to spray inside a boot. Bench is a real mess, shed's a mess. But anyway, so I did the best I could with that gun. It's monstrous. Got a few runs up on the inside guard up there on that side. So a run there, and another run down in there somewhere. But she's all done. Now it's ready. I've got to let that dry. Now I can do my seam sealing and oh, there's one run on that side too. Up in there. Anyways, I'll get a smaller gun when I go to actually properly paint it. The good thing is, it's still horrible outside. Managed to get, because it's in the rotisserie, you can get right up under all of that spots there, those spots. There's that big run. Wow, look at that. There's no light, you can't see it. Anyway, it'll sand off. This is 2-pack epoxy primer, and it's raining outside. It's absolutely been pissing down for days now. A lake out there. The paddock, as you can see, is all waterlogged. There's water everywhere. So anyway, I'm going to go inside and make a video for you guys. It's been too long.